Hi, Paul Slakis, Good News Planet, speaking to Susanne Veder Berger. Hi, how are you?
Not so bad. How are you this morning, Paul?
Okay, excellent. Now, this is very interesting, and thank you for coming out to share this, but you had I'm going to say it's probably because I've never seen you, I had I guess a physical, I don't know what you want to call it, blemish that you were not happy with, and you want to share how you dealt with it or how you didn't deal with it. Am I close?
Well, you're making it much nicer than I'd like to think about it, but I like how you put it. Actually, I was born, a port wine stain is a birth defect, and it was on the left side of my face. And actually, 3% of all children, male and female, are born with a similar thing. And
okay. What's it called again? Say it slower.
Port wine stain.
W-I-N-E?
Yes, just like, you know, when you sit at the end of a good meal, you have a great port wine.
Yes.
Well, that's the color of my face. And I guess the best way of explaining it, because we're on the radio, is if you take pencil marker or lipstick pencil and you draw a kind of rectangle shape 5 inches by 4 inches on the left side of your face, and you take a lipstick and you color that box in with red, purple, black, a little bit of blue, and make it solid, and that's how I looked. And I had to cover that. Well, actually, that was the doctor's advice back in 1957 because there was no way of treating it. Because what it is your blood vessels close, do not close. They come, blood is pumped to the surface of your skin. Now, mine is not that bad, and there are far worse situations. Mine could be covered, but if you have blood pumped to the top of your skin, it weighs something, and it causes it to be bigger or deformed. And if it's a lot of blood, it could actually, on some children, distort the face completely. Now, mine was not like that, and I'm very lucky, and I was very lucky because my parents were afforded the luxury of taking me to every doctor in the world to look at my face, to do the right thing. And they took the doctor's advice, and they were right. They did the right thing by me, and I went to New York, and I went to a place called Covermark, and I wore makeup literally since I could sit up. And that's how I faced the world. Now, that sounds weird because how many kids do you know that wore makeup that young? And I'm honestly can say I was 4 years old. I could put my own makeup on and I could hide my face from the world successfully by myself. And it was important because when you have a box on your face and people see you, they point at you, and they stare at you, and they laugh at you. And I knew that because I remember going to my best friend's house, Susie Thompson's, and down the street there was a little boy that lived there, but you didn't see him very often. And he caught my attention, and he walked funny, and he was deformed like me, but different. And when I went and asked about who he was to my best friends, and they said he was retarded. And everybody that day at the sandbox pretended they were retarded. Well, when you see how people react to someone that's not perfect or right, it scares you, and it leaves an impression, and you don't want anybody to laugh at you or run away or be scared. So it was important, I knew, that people didn't know about my face. But once I turned 14, I was really happy. I didn't have to wear the heavy makeup. Max Factor came out with a pancake stick. So at 14, all 14-year-old girls wear way too much makeup, so I kind of fit in. But you can't do the normal things, or you have to be cautious because makeup smears or runs. So you can't go swimming, or you can't play soccer or baseball or slide into base or play spin the bottle because the makeup may move. And can you imagine how devastating if some guy or some mean girl saw what you really look like? They could destroy your life.
How? I have a buddy of mine does PR, and he mentioned you to me and said, how come we're talking now? You're calling me because you want to share your this very, very sensitive and very beautiful, and I'm thanking you 1,000,000% for those that are. Our number one story is a girl who has alopecia on Good News. And how she dealt with it, and how she, from a child, how she dealt with not having hair anywhere on her body. So it's a very, the way the world looks at things is it's either the cover of Vogue or I don't know what it is, right?
I don't know. It really is. And when you're trying to be the best and you'll never be beautiful, and I'm not going to complain. Why am I talking to you? I've been given a gift. And it sounds really funny in 2011. It's a gift. I'm like the only old person this surgery has worked.
Oh, you had a surgical procedure?
Yes, it's laser surgery. And actually, I've been doing laser surgery on my face since 1987. And that's when I met Roy Geronimus in the basement of NYU. He shared space with the skin cancer area, and he zapped me a couple of times on my left cheek, and 4 months later I went back and I said, we're going to do this. And for me to say we're going to do this was huge because I was trained and told by everyone to leave my face alone. And from 1987 to 1989, I went every 4 weeks, and I had this man zap me on my left side. Now, I'm going to tell you, it did not make it go away. It was still there, but it was different, and it changed me because instead of having to wear heavy concealed makeup, I could wear concealing makeup, Keramas, and also Estee Lauder. And when you're 30, that's a big deal. And my life changed there because I was single. And at the end of that. So I had a new face, and I wasn't as bad as I originally looked, and I was ready to conquer the world. When I was totally okay and everything was good in 1996, I had a problem, and I had to go back and see the doctor, and he said to me, oh, I'm so glad you're here. And I said, why? He says, the technology has changed. We're going to redo your face. Well, I did it, of course. And you know what? It had improved it. And it was a good thing. Also, in 2005, I had a problem. So I went back and a couple of zappings, and that was okay. I determined that in 2005 that I would always have to go for treatment, a couple here, a couple there after years. Menopause, age, weakening of my skin, because as your skin ages, it's harder to do because the weight of the blood and your skin gets to be that way. So I always figured, I'd have a blood pimple. And these blood pimples scared me because they would literally cause deformity or bumps, and you had to have them cut off or lasered off. When I went in 2008, and Dr. Bernstein said to me, Suzanne, we're going to redo your face. The technology has come so far that I'm going to remove it. I looked at him and I laughed because never in my life, ever, did I ever think I would ever not have my birthmark or pink on the left side of my face. Well, I always thought I'd wear makeup. I've been wearing it since childhood. Well, it works. I don't know the girl in the mirror anymore. There's no pink. I'm still having a little bit of surgery because there's still some areas, and I kind of look at it because I'm like a test, because if it works on me, then people can say, look, it finally worked. And they can take their children and feel confident. Or I met a young girl by accident, because you don't meet many people with port wine stains. At least I never do. And you never, ever really go up to them because you don't want to say, hey, I've got a port wine stain just like you. We're like buddies. It's something, it's a respect, because it's like you notice them. They're different. And I got my nails done, and I was offbeat, and I turned to the side, and the girl next to me, I looked at her, and I couldn't help it. I asked her, are you in the middle of treatment for a port wine stain? And she looked at me and very defensively said, yes, why are you asking? I said, because I have one. It's on my left side. And, well, you can't see it, but I'm in treatment. She says she's in treatment. But her treatment was different than my treatment. And I ended up saying to her, come with me. Come to treatment. See what it's like for me. See how I approach it and meet my doctors. Well, she did. And she changed doctors. And I'm really excited because the treatment has been very successful.
Yay.
And so if I can stand up and say thank you to these doctors and say, hey, it works. And there's also a disadvantage too, Paul. Not all insurance companies feel that this surgery is necessary. So I've been very lucky because this has cost me nothing. This is covered by insurance. Not all are as fortunate as me.
All right. This is a beautiful story, and since your grandfather was the president of a temple in Ashkenazic temple in Holland, I'll say sei gesund, which means go in good health, right?
Absolutely. Well, that's a side of me that is interesting, because I think I've fought against who I really was most of my life, which is new. Not new, but part of my process in coming terms with my new life, I ended up going back to Amsterdam and discovered something that I never realized. And I went to the museum, which is housed in the synagogue where my grandfather was president, and also the synagogue that the Nazis took my grandfather away the day before Rosh Hashanah because he refused to give the list of Jews to the Nazis. And I wandered around there, and I ended up standing in front of an area that talked about going into hiding. And there are some 25,000 Jews that went into hiding in Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. And I realized that my grandfather, the son of A.S. Amsterdam Veder, actually, in a way, prepared me to go into hiding as a child. So I would have the strength to deal with my challenge.
Interesting. What a comparison.
It is, because when you go into hiding, you have to protect who you are and guard who you are. Mm-hmm. And your trust is minimum because it's cruel, and the truth of the matter is you're at risk. And I am very grateful my grandfather instilled my Jewish values and who I was, because I truly believe it gave me the strength to believe and to face a world that is not cruel. Well, not happy. It's cruel.
This is very powerful stuff. Susanne, we could talk for a while. I love hearing from you from your inners and for what you're sharing. We got to run to another interview, but it's wonderful speaking with you. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing for you to share this miracle.
Thank you.
With our audience. And I just want to ask you one last quick question. What's good news then for you?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat?
What's good news for you? What's your good news? What's your good news? What's good news?
My good news is I am approaching a new life, and I'm approaching it believing that at 54 years old, a woman can recreate herself and make her dreams come true. And it's amazing being a woman because you can do anything you put your heart to.
Okay. Well, March is Women's History Month. So
I didn't know that.
I just did a show on it. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you so much for sharing good news with us, Susanne.
Well, thank you for letting me share, Paul, and it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Take care.
You too now.
Right. Bye-bye.
Bye.